Welcome to Storytime with Gena. I'm your host, Gena. On the sofa with me today is Spangle Bear, as always.
Hi there.
As always, this is our second show.
I know.
Always.
It's a track record.
I mean, hey, we're doing something. You kept me honest for a whole week or two.
That's one of my fears with this show is, man, that's a great show. I love that podcast. But they haven't recorded in like 3 years.
Right. Ouch. So no, we'll try to keep active. I think as long as we keep doing the We Are Libertarians thing, it'll be a lot easier.
Lord willing.
Amen. So this week started a new job. How cool is that?
I know. I'm proud of you.
I'm doing things, working with Rupert Bonham and with Rupert's kids, getting young men and women out into the community, doing positive things. It's pretty awesome.
Yep. I helped work on his campaign. You were a candidate alongside with Rupert, so we both know Rupert pretty well, and you're helping out with some of the fundraising and the promotion stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. It seems like it's going to be a really cool gig. I can't wait to get to dig in and get going. I have a new work wife.
Oh, who's your work wife?
She's a sexy little lady named Mark.
Mark Holden?
Yeah, the one and only.
Oh, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, Mark Holden is one beautiful woman.
Lovely eyes.
It is funny. Mark's such a good guy, and he's helping out around there too. He's the
head man in charge, just about. He's running the show.
I know. He's the boss. It's funny, like these kids come in and they try to give him they give him, as the kids say, the business, and he just looks at him and is like, just shut the f up.
Don't forget, Spangle, you can speak openly. This is Storytime with Gena. We say lots of F-bombs.
That's true. Yes, listen, vulgarity for you is a virtue that you have instilled in your children.
Okay, there's a little bit of fact in that. I do not...
A lot of fact.
I do not restrict my son's vocabulary just because I don't want the world to, and if his mom does, how hypocritical is that, I guess?
Yeah, so you're teaching your son that it's okay to curse in public because you want the ability to.
Essentially, and if he wants the ability to, he needs to grow his... You're 6, grow some cojones, it's time.
Listen, if you want to say the C word, pick one, then go ahead.
Right. But, I mean, if your kids are in the room, we're going to let you know now it could get explicit depending on topic just because we speak freely and openly here.
I did have to put a not safe for work tag on this show just because we put it out there, and typically when people listen to the We Are Libertarians, the podcasts, they're all clean in the main podcast for We Are Libertarians. We go in there and we beep all out all the curses, and in this one we don't. We don't on Maya either, because Maya would hurt me.
Right.
Although I'm more afraid of you than I am Maya, actually.
With good reason.
Yeah, she's like a 6'1" tranny, and you're like a 4'3" Gena.
Which is more terrifying than it sounds.
Yeah. Like, basically, Maya's all the bark, and Gena's all the bite. So...
This is what we hear, yeah.
So last night we were sitting down with Rupert talking about some of the marketing and promotions aspects of Rupert's Kids, the charity that you're working with. And your son Vinnie was there. Your adorable little 6-month-old son Dante was there, who I babysat most of the night.
Like a champ, by the way.
I know. I put him right to sleep. I played him the first episode of Storytime with Gena, and he went right out.
Snooze.
And I'm just kidding. I played him the Uncontrollables. And Vinny's just walking around. He's like, what the hell? What the hell is going on here? And then he gave me a 5-minute lecture about how I should not interrupt him because he was making a point and I was being stupid. And I was like, wow, you're really your mom's son, aren't you?
I would not ever encourage my son to call someone stupid.
I'm just saying, I have a favorite, and it's Dante.
Wait till he can talk.
Right, yeah.
Aw.
Vinny,
I love those babies. No.
Vinny was great for about 3 hours, and then he turned into a real tampon.
Yeah, it took about 3 hours. That's what it is. Although today he was hanging out with Georgette, and he informed her that he knew his manners.
He did. As he told us that we were all idiots and we should shut the fuck up, he informed us that he did know his manners. And he snapped his fingers a little bit, too, when he did it.
Right. That's one of those moments where he's like, I know my manners, but I choose not to exercise them. The kid has a vocabulary.
He was trying to name his YouTube channel because, for whatever reason, Gena thinks it's appropriate to let a 6-year-old have a YouTube channel.
The kid said, "Mom, I want a YouTube channel." What is it going to say? I go do it every day, but no, you can't. I mean,
Yes, because you're a grown-up and he's not.
Oh, okay. We're all human, Spangle Bear. You're an old human, but
what about? Let me ask this delicately, just in case there are any kids in the room. What about the SC at the end of the year? The big man.
Oh well, yeah. I mean,
so
but I still believe too. So what are you saying, Spangle?
Okay. So we're all in on the big man, the SC, and the EB and the TF.
Yeah, all of those visit absolutely.
TF.
And way to use code there, because that was not okay to spoil that.
No,
that's the kind of stuff mommy hurt somebody on.
Yeah. See, the TF, it means one thing when you're a kid and a totally different thing.
Well, I have to say we kind of sucked at the TF last time, and I think he's pieced together that we dropped the ball there.
He's done some sleuthing.
Yeah, oops.
He's hilarious. Like you don't meet many kids his age who have that kind of personality. And when he was out on the campaign trail with you when he was 5, I would give him jobs because he was a little bored, and I'd say, "All right, you stand next to Rupert, and when people get an autograph and they go to walk away, hand them this piece of paper and say, vote for Rupert." Mm-hmm. He said, "Okay, this is great. I'm going to be good at this."
He loves handing out flyers.
Yeah, he was pumped, and he stood there, and they ignored him, and like 3 people walked away, and he comes back, and he just flops down in his tiny little kid chair, and he goes, "What's wrong, Vinnie?" "Well, I'm cute, but everybody likes Rupert better than me." I'm like, wow.
Kid's modest, if nothing else. I love it.
We have to have him on.
Yeah, we should. There's a little bit of a language, like he has a little bit of a, it's not a speech impediment so much as he speaks quicker than his mouth can keep up with.
Yeah, he speaks like a loud 5-year-old. He's very loud.
Oh, but once you catch on, he says some funny shit. Good kid.
So as we were talking about YouTube channel names, I was like, Captain 6-year-old that talks way too loud and too fast.
Right.
And he's like, "Shut up! You're so..."
He does get frustrated.
Yeah.
Oh, good baby though. He's a pretty good boy. He's just rotten the last couple days. We've had a lot going on though. Poor guy.
Tell me a story, Gena.
Oh my goodness. Good story, bad story? Where are we going?
I don't know.
Let's see this weekend.
Let's start with a good story. Next week we'll do a bad story, and then the third week we'll do a sexy story.
How about I just tell a long story?
Okay, all right.
So, I had a real crazy scare within our family last week. My little brother's been living out in Colorado, and apparently he'd been having some struggles that we weren't aware of, and they were real hard on their luck. And he got into an altercation with his landlord, and he took off for Indiana with no money, no cell phone, and the little turkey damn near made it here. But I had after about 3 or 4 days, I got scared, and so we had an APB put out for him nationwide, and he did get picked up. He had run completely out about 40 miles west of Illinois.
What, of gas?
Yeah. So he was just going to walk.
All right, so at least he had a car. I mean,
Right. No, so he was just going to walk from about 40 miles east of, or west of Illinois to, somewhere in Missouri to Indiana. God bless his heart. But they picked him up, and so anyway, finally he came home safe, and that was awesome. But the night that he was missing over the weekend, I was out with some friends, and I guess I had a really big heart for the homeless population there. And so it was just crazy. I had a run-in with this gentleman who was walking down the street just screaming the N-word, which is interesting that even I call it the N-word because I have a very foul mouth.
Yeah, there's just some things you never,
Right.
Listen, it's okay to curse, but it's not okay to say things that might offend people in my mind. I mean,
well, here's the thing, though. Let me get you to let me pull you up to speed.
Nelly, from whence did he come?
I'm going to describe him to you. Okay. So he was.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, he was a smallish black guy with a periwinkle like polo shirt on and a messenger bag, and you could tell that he wasn't super wealthy, but he certainly wasn't a derelict either.
That guy, his home is the little tiny park across the street from my office.
Are you sure? Because this guy said he had a place.
No, I'm sure he spends. If it's not his home, it's where he spends a great deal of time screaming out the N-word while I'm on the phone with clients.
Oh,
so so I work.
So it's a thing.
Yeah, if you're in Indianapolis, I work across the street from Brewburger, and above the Old Point Tavern, and he hangs out in that little park with the big head in it, and he just screams out obscenities and has arguments with people, and it's like you're on the phone with clients, and you're just like, yeah, that's not my boss. That's no one that we know.
Well, on this particular evening, he was very pissed off about the Paula Deen incident. And let me be very clear. I do not give two shits about Paula Deen's career. Personally, I would not take a paper cut to defend Paula Deen's career over anything, whether it be something she said recently, something she said 30 years ago. I couldn't very much care less. But on this particular evening, our friend, Myron is his name, he gave a shit. He really gave a shit. So he's running down the street screaming the N-word, and he's getting up in people's faces. And he gets up in the face of the crowd that I had just met and I was walking with, and they flipped the fuck out. Like,
really, that's their trigger?
Right. A
crazy
black man calling a bunch of, like, Irish white folks
right.
the N-word, and they just flip the fuck out. So
really?
I'm sitting there just astounded and, jaw dropped, trying to figure out what I'm watching. And as I do, they start throwing him to the ground and circling up on him. And it's like 3 or 4 big dudes. Spingle, I mean, the smallest one I'm talking about was about your size. I mean, these were some big boys, and they were barreling down on him. So I had to step in, which was interesting. I wasn't sure what I was going to do other than fall.
Hey, now you stop that right
exactly.
now.
Actually, it came out much, much louder. I think I stopped traffic 2 blocks over, but I did scream, hey, and it paralyzed the guy who was on his way in, and he seemed to be the ringleader of the whole situation. So once that was diffused, they kind of backed off. But the guy on the ground with his elbows bleeding was, incredibly defensive. So I hung out with him for a little while, and
you hung out with him.
I for real hung out with him. We exchanged phone numbers. He's my new homie, and he was telling me that he was willing to die, and I was just like astounded that someone...
He was willing to die for what?
Paula Deen, yo! Like, who wants to die for Paula Deen's career? That's just the most incredible shit I've ever heard.
That's a good point.
But it was like, America, what are we doing? Where they are taking away our liberties left, right, and sideways. We don't give a shit. But Myron's like, Paula Deen's losing her butter. Fuck that! I'm gonna go incite a lynch mob and see if I can't get myself murdered.
Yeah. Like,
blown away.
Well, I don't think it wasn't a lynch mob because of his race. It was because he was
it was
threatening.
It was definitely racially triggered.
Oh.
There was no question in either of
on
our
who
minds.
on whose side?
On the entire situation was a racial conflict. There was no question in my mind.
I've been within 2 arms length of this particular gentleman when he is in full force, and he's scary.
Well, I got there late. I had just run into probably one of my best friends on the street, and like I said, I had just met these guys. I didn't know him from Adam, and one of them started like heckling and taunting this guy as he walked away, and it just really, it pissed me off.
Did he start beating his chest and then he drug his knuckles?
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
But it was interesting though. When I stopped him to have a conversation with him and I told him that was not acceptable and, I love that guy, you absolutely will not treat him that way. He looked at me and he said, I know, and I'm jealous. So I was kind of stunned.
What does he mean jealous?
Well, because, like I'm saying, my brother was missing, so I was having a really rough time. And the friend that I had run into is probably one of the dearest people on the planet to me. And I had just, given him just a really heartfelt hug, and this guy went fucking crazy. Just went fucking crazy. It was
Which
just
guy?
that night. That guy that I'm telling you about that started taunting him as he walked away.
All right. We'll call him Donnie.
We can call him Ken because we're about to segue into Barbie.
Okay.
So Ken, whom I had been hanging out with this evening, I just met him probably 20 minutes prior to that, sees me hug a friend. The friend walks away and he starts taunting him, calling him names.
The friend?
No, the friend is walking quietly. Yeah, he's calling a very dear friend of mine names, having just met me. But it was very much ape-like, chest grunt.
All right, now let me unwind this.
Okay.
The guy
Good
who is yelling at your friend is the
Ken.
crazy black guy.
No.
Okay.
We haven't met the crazy black guy yet. This is what I'm telling you. So my friend is being assaulted by this new guy that I've just met, and verbally assaulted. Because
and then later on,
throw that word around a lot.
he ends up fighting with your new friend.
Well, the group that Ken was traveling in. Kens travel in packs. Okay.
Right. Yes.
So there's a pack of Kens.
There's a 6-pack of Kens.
Right. So my heartfelt friend is walking down the street. There's a 6-pack of Kens making their way. I've got the one Ken in particular, and I'm talking to him like, that's not acceptable. I'm basically about to part ways with him because he's pissed me off.
Right.
And the next thing I know, we have met back up with the crowd after our conversation, and the rest of the crowd is circling around Myron, who's getting thrown to the fucking ground.
Okay,
and
so
his
we
ass
essentially
beat.
had a full-fledged flock of douchebags.
Yes,
okay.
yes. Now here was the interesting thing: probably the biggest and most and I don't know, most muscular of them all was Ken.
Right.
But because we had just had this conversation about how it was absolutely unacceptable for him to treat people that way, he looked at me and froze. He did not know what the fuck to do. He was just paralyzed. So that was cool. Like, I didn't have to worry about diffusing the biggest, scariest one of them all.
Right.
But the ones that I did have to diffuse, it took some encouraging. But it was an interesting phenomenon to be faced with probably 600 pounds of human being and be standing there at about 110 pounds.
I don't think they do anything to you, though.
Well, they picked up my purse, threw it in the street.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking rage. I'm not talking about some angry people. I am talking about rage-infested human beings.
Flat-out nut jobs.
Well,
How is it that the crazy black guy
looks sane at that moment?
Right.
What the fuck is happening? That's what I'm saying. Like, it was a beautiful thing that I had the clarity to be, I guess, sympathetic to that population on that particular evening because of what was going on in my personal life, to the extent that I could do what had to be done, possibly to save this guy's life, Spangle, because I'm not kidding. The guy looked like he was about to stomp him, like curb stomp him, and that was just not going to be okay under any stretch. So that was very exciting weekend. One night, I guess. It's like a 20-minute stretch in the life of Gena. Who does that? Anyway, I promised we would segue into Barbie. So what was...
Yes.
Barbie was in the news today. It was like a, what if Barbie was real?
They made some sort of test doll of Barbie as a real girl.
What?
And the real Barbie is so hot.
I saw she had a little booty going on.
Like, the real Barbie looked basically like a little doll of Penny from The Big Bang Theory. Like, had kind of a booty, had a voluptuous rack,
nice.
A normal-looking face.
Her thighs, yeah.
Oh, yes. Very,
Nice.
very nice.
No more toothpicks, I hope.
All right, well, I'm done lusting after a children's doll. So.
It was interesting. So Spangle sends me this link, and he's like, Gena, what are your opinions on
Because
this?
you're the token vag of We're Libertarians.
I carry all of the tits, and so...
Well, that's not true.
Okay. You have a very pretty rack.
I'm
and
packing.
Maya.
I'm packing.
Can't forget Maya.
Maya has a smidge of tit.
It's hers, though. Let her have it.
She's very excited about her smidge.
Aw.
Now, so because you are our girl, our female correspondent for the We're Libertarians Network, I asked, does Barbie... Because you always hear Barbie shapes the vision of what a woman is supposed to be.
Right.
Okay? So... Is that true, or is that just something that people say because everybody else says it?
Well, see, that's where it's hard to say, because I was first exposed to the notion that Barbie was an anti-feminist, patriarchal, I don't know. It was sold to me when I was about 8 years old, I think. The first articles started coming out suggesting that Barbie was creating a false sense of self-image. So I was probably poisoned to it very young. But I can say this. Once that article came out, I was the 8-year-old browsing through the newspaper because I was that kind of nerd. And I can remember gathering up all of my Barbie shit and pretty much anything pink that I can find and burning it in the backyard.
How old were you?
For real, 8 years old.
What kind of monster lets their 8-year-old burn their toys?
What self-respecting 8-year-old asks permission?
Oh, that's a good point. When my sister was 8, she lit a napkin on fire.
Nice. I had a smoking lounge.
You smoked at 8 years old?
No, I burned toothpicks and I carried them in between my 2 fingers to look exceptionally cool. And we did this in a tiny closet in my apartment. Yeah.
See, because
we could have burnt the whole fucker down.
That
if we
would make
hadn't been
so
careful.
much sense to me if you smoked at 8 because of your small size.
Well, that's genetic. I mean, my grandfather's name was Shorty, and it's on his tombstone. That's legit. And we're the tallest one of us, I think, is 5'3", and that's no joke on my dad's side.
Right.
But what kind of rotten things were we saying about Barbie? Anyway, I think it is.
Does it actually set a template? Because I personally, like, there's some woman out there who I don't know her name, but she's some Russian broad.
Her, yeah.
And she has done plastic surgery to look like Barbie, and
it's terrifying.
She legit looks like Barbie, and it's really scary.
Well, she looks like Barbie with plastic surgery. That's the thing. Once you go down that plastic surgery slippery slope,
right,
you start looking Joan Rivers like.
She's like 22, so she's perfect right now, but she's got all the exact dimensions as Barbie, so she looks, acceptable. But at about, once that wall quickly approaches, ooh, it's gonna be bad. But so for my end, I don't think that it sets. I think from my perspective as a guy and just personally, I think my template was probably set more by my first girlfriend in high school and some of my crushes in elementary and middle school, way more than a doll or any kind of global influence.
Yeah, I mean, what guy cares what Barbie looks like? I guess that's a valid point.
Yeah, so I think for guys it doesn't necessarily matter, but I wondered for girls if it really does, playing with that Barbie, does it shape your view of femininity?
Okay, so when I played with Barbies, I really only had one friend that liked to play with Barbies. Her name was Allison. And when we played with Barbies, it was more about the clothing that we put on them.
Right.
So my mom would, buy all these little outfits, but Allison's mom was real crafty, so they would, take tube socks and cut little armholes and then take food coloring and dye them. And my mom didn't have time for all that shit. My mom was working 2 jobs.
Right.
I was lucky to own a Barbie from the dollar store, but, I can't say that I was like, oh, look at Barbie, that bitch has everything.
Right.
But my Barbie didn't have everything. My Barbie wasn't chilling in a mansion. My Barbie didn't have a Corvette.
So let me ask you this. What did shape your view of what an attractive female should be?
My mom, I think, probably. Because that's that's what you model after. I just always thought my mom was very pretty.
What if your mother is Janet Reno?
Your mom's still pretty, isn't she? I mean, is your
not if
Spangled
your
Bear?
mom's. My mom's pretty.
Aww.
It's sort of weird to talk about.
Okay.
My mom is so hot.
My mom. I would so bang my mom.
Wow.
No. So I don't know what else shapes a person's. I don't think I ever gave a fuck, Spangle. That's gonna be honest. I mean, I'm not the typical person. I'll totally admit that up front.
Yeah.
But I like the classics. If I'm looking for fashion advice or style tips, I'll look through the classics and see what I like most. Pretty much from here back to the Dark Ages. I don't give a damn. If I like it, I'll incorporate it. I've got some sleeves that are bells, and I've got flapper hats and crazy Juliet skull caps hats.
What is
that go way back in
tell
time.
me your craziest shopping story then, if we're going to cover fashion.
Oh,
tell me a good story
story
about shopping.
Okay, well, my craziest shopping story would have to be when I was in high school, and my friend Josh and I would go to the Bloomington Mall.
Josh, you go shopping with a guy named Josh.
Absolutely, my soulmate.
Was he
I'm
friend
not sure
zone?
if he was out of the closet at the time or not. Probably.
Because he's either was in the closet or he was friend zoned hard.
Well, no, he's my soulmate. Leave it alone. We're beautiful for each other. But yeah, he's queer as a $2 bill, $3 bill even. But we would go to the mall in Bloomington and pretend to be deaf. And so
wow.
It came about organically. It came about because, and this is terrible, I'm going to admit this, Josh, I'm really sorry. So we were making fun of someone, and we didn't want them to know it, and we were signing to one another because that's a talent that we share. And somebody walked up and tapped him on the shoulder and said, I just think it's so beautiful that you're interpreting for her. And he laughed, and I held it together like I couldn't hear. And then from there, it just kind of became a thing where we did it like private performance art, and we went home and laughed our asses off.
Because you were making fun of people.
Well, no, because people legit thought that he was like signing to me. Now, if anything fell and I turned around,
you screamed.
No, we would just both laugh because I heard it and nobody pieced it together.
I was with my 10th grade girlfriend, Joanna.
Oh, yeah?
One of two girlfriends that I've managed to get in my life. I married the other one.
Nice.
Ladies' man. And so Joanna and I are walking through the mall, and we're just sort of roaming through the stores. And I get very excited, and I like to exclaim things. I'm very boisterous, if you can't tell. And so we walk in, and we're just kind of hanging out in this store called Lane Bryant. And I start looking around, and I'm like, oh, Joanna, is this one of those big girl stores?
Oh, no. You just yelled that in a Lane Bryant?
And
how many purses did you dodge?
There was a good 5, let's call them ladies, hanging around in there looking for coverage. And I got drug out. She started laughing because that's just me. And at that particular time, she liked me. And
way back when we were friends.
Yeah, so she started laughing, and she goes, yes, and that was rude. And I'm like, did I do something? Oh, that's not right.
No.
I should go apologize to those ladies.
We should point out that Spangle Bear is on the roundish side.
Oh yeah,
he's a full-figured gal.
If I were a girl, I would look like Chris Farley when he said, "Lay off me, I'm starving." So
that's one of my favorite characters. Yeah.
Like,
that and the lunch lady.
Jenny, I thought you were on a diet. Lay off me, I'm starving. So yeah, I would not make an attractive woman.
Oh, I disagree. I bet you'd look lovely.
Yeah.
Aw. No, I used to shop for my grandmother at Christmas time in a Lane Bryant, and yeah, you can sometimes score looks just by walking into the wrong establishment. Like I certainly never said anything negative.
Do you ever walk in a Lane Bryant and just go, "Hey, bitches, look how good I look"?
No, absolutely no, because I was a big girl once. I don't even feel that way. I think that big girls are beautiful. And like the weight that I'm at now is not because I do anything actively to maintain it. It's just my metabolism.
Right.
I'm not the guy who's like, I'm going to the gym. Status update. Click like.
Right.
Yeah. No, we're not working on our glutes or our abs. If I'm doing anything, I'm playing with my kids. And
I don't like the Barbie type. I mean, I like and appreciate females of all shapes and sizes, colors and creeds. I don't know that.
Spangle don't discriminate.
I don't discriminate. Listen, beggars cannot be choosers. I managed to marry a very, very pretty woman.
So lucky.
I didn't get
gorgeous.
lucky. She's lucky.
I mean, of course, but still, Spangle Bear, way to go.
But she's very pretty, and I just don't. I don't like the. What is her dimensions, Barbie? That would be gross.
Dead. No, that would
Right.
be dead. That would be like your rib cage imploded, your waist sank, and suddenly you had hips that went on for days. Oh, poor Barbie.
Poor Barbie.
Oh, so
whatever. That bitch lives in Malibu. Fuck her.
Fuck that bitch.
She's got a Corvette and a guy named Ken.
Oh, poor Barbie. Poor Barbie and Paula Dean.
Right.
Their lives must suck so much.
Right. Oh, wow. Paula Dean said I do feel a little bad for Paula
I don't.
Dean.
I think she's probably a racist twat from what I've read. I'm just saying.
But she said that crap 27 years ago.
But it sounds as though things that I've read,
have you ever said
it very, very recently.
Have you ever said things that you regret?
Well, yes, I have said things that I've
Right.
regretted. But I was raised in a fairly racist family, and I, at a very, very young age, made some enemies within said family because I was very outspoken about what was and wasn't okay. Yeah, go figure.
My dad, I can't go to the race with my dad because he just screams about all the Japanese and female drivers, and every time a female driver hits the wall, it's like, see everybody, I told you, that's what you get. I hope you wrecked.
So funny.
The female Brazilian drivers, forget it. Those are his favorite. I hate it. I have always hated it, but I look at Paula Dean, and her latest was like, hey, I love a few racial jokes, but who doesn't?
Right.
Who amongst us doesn't like a good racial joke every
I
once in a while?
I really don't get into racial jokes. The only things that
I got
will
one to tell you
indulge
later.
in, oh my God, the only ones that I do indulge in is like I refer to my inner Hebrew if I get a really good deal.
Right.
So I guess that's kind of a racial joke. I do really get a kick out of sharing and humor of the Asian L to R translation.
Right. See,
my
that's
friend
racist.
June and I, we really write things, and
so if somebody took
it
video
makes us
of
laugh.
that, but if somebody took video
Don't
of that
have
and
to
put
take
it online,
video of it. I document it for everybody. Hey
Right.
guys,
but if you,
these are the skeletons in Gena's closet. From here henceforth to be known as the what'd you call them, hood ornaments.
I just find it distasteful how we have tried to destroy this woman for
Sure.
an incredibly poor choice, an inexcusable choice.
Absolutely.
27, 30 years ago. I don't know when it happened, but it was a long time ago. And
she was
it's just-
honest about it in a deposition, which I also
Right.
think speaks to character.
She's,
But I have read things that suggested that as recently as like the last 2 or 3 years, she's been. It's been. I don't know. Look it up for yourself. There are reports that it's more recent than that, and it's kind of a current pandemic.
Sure.
Or
Hey,
epidemic.
whatever. I'm not really surprised that old lady from
Phenomenon.
St.
Do, 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 do.
racist.
There's our out music. Phenomenon. Do, 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 do.
Okay, wrap it up, Gena.
Okay, so we're going to wrap things up, I guess. We should speak about a charity next week. Remind me, that's going to be the plan.
Okay.
I am looking for... Well, never mind. We'll talk about that later, too. But it was really fun. I think we did well this time.
I thought it was a good time.
I'm not sure we sucked entirely.
No, I think it was good.
We should probably get guests, though, because I think you and I is a...
We don't
I
have
mean,
to
you and
get
I
guests.
is a good time.
Hey, now. We don't get guests. You get guests.
Aw.
This is your show.
We, like I said. How do we
No.
feel? Aw.
We have a lot to do. You have a show.
We should think of a tagline so that we can close it with something catchy every time.
All right.
Thanks for coming to Storytime with Gena.
Out,
and
bitches.
Out, bitches. Phenomenon.
Phenomena.